Zurich is intense, and one of the first things I noticed about it was, and I'd been warned, by the way. I had a aunt that lived in Zurich a lot of my childhood, and a lot of my family used to travel to Switzerland, and they were all kind of like mesmerized by Swiss culture and things. And then I also had this, oh gosh, what do you call it? Exchange student brother who lived with me my senior year in high school from Switzerland. My parents had selected him, and I didn't like him. There are not many people on this planet I really can't get along with and don't like, and he was one. And I learned that early on that like this is rare, but it happens. And when it happens, it sucks. And for me, because I tend to try to like getting along with everyone, and the bummer was it was my senior year, and I think I brought my own energy to it. Well, I know I did, and I was resentful. So this Swiss dude sort of crashed my senior year, and he was very Swiss and very proud of his Swissness, and there was like weird things about being proud of being Swiss, like peanut butter was amazing to this guy, and yet that was the only bit of American thing that he sort of seemed to really like. Everything else was better in Switzerland, and just it was a lot. It was like it was like my, I'm thinking about this now, this is like weird therapy. It was like my early exposure to the proud European thing that is now my Rafa situation, where Rafa's really not that bad. It's just he's so goddamn proud of his Spanishness that just overwhelms. It overwhelms. It's like a cloud. So Switzerland, on the positive note, I went in pretty open-minded and curious about everything, and it was just what I thought it would be and more. It was people were like, pay attention to how timely the trains and the trams are, and how well coordinated everything works, and how sort of complicated yet simple it is. And I was like, yeah, it's like that. There are train stations and tram lines that are on multiple levels through town. The train station in Zurich, the main one, is pretty big, and you walk from there and you immediately have surface streets that have all the trams that take you in different directions. Within a few blocks, I saw one of my first sort of underground views. Like, it's not really all the way underground, it's just below the same street level you're on, and you can see down into multiple tracks that have other trains and other trams, and they all sort of like go different directions, intersect like a spider web. And the fact that they all go and work, and they have it all figured out and engineered to be at the right place at the right time, and to take people where they need to go all the time, where they want to go for a good price, that just blows my mind. So that's very Swiss. The other thing, so the next day we woke up and we decided to walk around. Claire and Andrew had been there before, and I was in full-on tourist mode at that point. I was like, take me where you want. I have no plans. I'm not interested in putting any energy into planning. I'll give you input, but I'll just do. I trust you. So I did that with Claire and Andrew, and it worked out. And we walked all over the place, looked at things, saw cool shit, went to gardens that were by the lake called Zursee. It's like, sea means lake, but it's like this Lake Zurich. And then walked past that and went up the hill. They were headed towards this botanical garden place that is run by the university. And I was like, that sounds really cool. I love botanical gardens. It blew my fucking mind. It was the craziest botanical gardens I've ever seen in my life. And this is apparently just common in Europe, is like big cities have just incredible amounts of history and money that have been invested in botanical gardens. I think they must have just gotten totally like infatuated, aroused by plants and shit from the Victorian era, and ever since then they just keep putting more and more money, and they just have these, like one of the domes, there was like 3 domes at this Zurich one, and one was tropical and one was a desert and one was like semi-tropical or something like that, and they each had these mature, they were like giant domes. They had mature trees that were 30 to 60 feet maybe in height, and they had under canopies that were fully developed, and then ground level things, and they had things happening everywhere. I could just imagine little Swiss curators going around with like fancy pollinating popsicle sticks or something, and making all the plants happy by having fake sex or something. And it was like overwhelming. It was beautiful. The flowers, the plants, the crazy specimens they had. The desert one was really cool too, because I do love deserts. And so that was really the highlight. And I don't know if that's anything about Zurich in particular, other than they have a fantastic botanical garden. But my main memory of that day was really just hitting that botanical gardens pretty hard and taking lots of flower porn pictures. We had dinner that night at an incredible fish restaurant that, it was like $180 per, I don't even know, it was expensive. And but it was really good, and it was like worth it, and the service was nice.